So for the longest time, I've been using the screw-on filters, just like many of you, I suppose. But with the magnetic filters getting more and more affordable these days, it got me kind of curious. Can I switch completely to the magnetic system? And are the benefits that dramatic? And are there any drawbacks to this switch? And since I don't want to make 25-30 videos about this topic, I decided to just include everything here. So this is going to be one of those longer ones. Buckle up, get some snacks. There's going to be a bunch of stuff I'm going to talk about. And a little disclaimer before we start. All of the opinions in this video are my own, and your experience may vary, so keep that in mind. All of these filters I own. Yeah, let's get to it. So let's start with the UV filters. Why I use them and what for, and is it even worth it? So I use UV filters just for the simple protection sake, because some of the lenses that I use, they're kind of really specific and it took me some time to find them, and there's no way for me to buy another one in some cases. So I just don't want to scratch the front element. Mostly I'm talking about vintage lenses because not all of them have really good coating, and if you clean it up too often you might damage the outside coating, and I don't want to do that. So yeah, I don't want to go through all of that hustle to like polishing and all that stuff. I just screw them on and I just keep them there pretty much forever, and I don't use any lens caps. So this is basically like my lens cap substitution, if you will. Yeah, I have different sizes and I probably spent way too much money on these. So I have a bunch of these from different brands. Some of them are like too expensive, I would say. My main strategy, and as I said, your mileage may vary. If you're using a cheaper lens, there's no point of buying a crazy expensive filter for it. I know it sounds kind of weird, but this is the way I roll. Lately, I've been experimenting with K&F Concept, and this is just Nano C series UV HMC. These are super affordable, like, I don't know, like $4 to $7, maybe less, if you're lucky, if you buy them in bulk and you have some coupons, like whatever. And I put them almost on all of the lenses that are not that expensive, that I don't really care about image quality on those. I don't see any difference. Like, I tested multiple times with different scenarios and stuff like that. I cannot see any difference there. So I'm not gonna stop there for too long. Next segment, let's do diffusion filters. And these are a little bit more special and specific for the use case. Most of them look like protection filters, but I would say keeping it always on the lens is not ideal for all of the situations. Some people use them as a daily drivers and they just keep them on the lens or on the camera. In the beginning, I was doing the same, and it was okay, especially when I shoot in the evening or at night. It's kind of cool, those highlights, blooming and all of that stuff, and a bit of a smoother skin tones if you're taking pictures of people. But I feel like these days I just want a cleaner image. So I use them mostly for like artistic expression, if you will, or for the video, or, you know, in those situations that I want the highlights to be smoother and stuff like that. But before, I was always keeping them on the camera, and I felt like I got tired of always seeing this blooming stuff and diffusion and whatnot. It's necessary to have it in the arsenal, but I can kind of live without this. The ones I'm showing here, these are 7 artisans. Jesus Christ. It's much out of this one. This is Black Mist MRC, and this is 1/8 strength. I feel like 1/8 to 1/4 is ideal. Anything more than that is probably way too much for my personal taste. And I'm one of those guys who would buy the biggest filter available and then just use a bunch of these step-up rings, and I would adapt them to all of my lenses. But it's kind of annoying. I mean, I get it, there's no better option for the money because 82 is so big, and for example, this lens has 46. I mean, you can kind of imagine it's gonna look kind of ridiculous, like if I put this on a lens. It's like it's just too big and bulky, while I want to maintain this lens compact size and everything. It's not ideal, but there's no better solution at this point, so whatever. Other diffusion filters I use these two filters from Sandmark, and they're called retro filters. And why they look so different? Because first of all, they come in a pair. One is soft mist and the second one is strong mist, so a bit of a different density. And one has adapter for the phone, 17mm thread adapter, and you can kind of use this on a phone, and I feel like it works just fine. I've been using them for well, I don't know, 7 months, 6 months. And if you're one of those people who shoots video on a smartphone, which, and now I can consider myself one of those, I shot the whole video with pretty much this setup about Osmo Pockets. You can watch it here or there. I would say they're good, but I've noticed that if you're using one of the Sandmark telephoto lenses, which I believe 2x, I had this issue with 2x, there was a little bit of vignetting in the corners when I attached the lens and this thing. So, well, you can live with that, but just letting you know, a little bit of a feedback there. So this is another couple of, I really don't need these, but it's cool to have. Well, it all adds up in the end, and dude, I'm not even sure I need this much. So yeah. I have a couple of star filters. Well, I don't even know how to pronounce this one, ROWL. This is a 6X star type, and this one is Hoya CS. So they give you kind of a different picture, but they're not like multi-coated or anything. So I think these are like just a regular glass, like optical glass, like whatever. And I only have like 49 and 58. I didn't even bother to buy the bigger one because I basically use these when I kind of want this effect. I think for video could be cool if you're shooting wide open, or when you're shooting in the dark and you have to open up the aperture to gather as much light, but at the same time you still want to have the stars on the highlights. So I guess that's the use case. I don't recommend buying these unless you have this specific use case. Yeah. Next is another specialty. This is just a yellow filter. I've used this one and I have it since my film photography days when I was shooting black and white film. So this was necessary. Now I basically just don't use it. This just, you know, stays in the case. And so I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on that. You can research, you know, the red, green, and yellow filters used in black and white photography if you're curious, but yeah, not spending much time there. Next stuff, which I also have from my, you know, film photography experiments and stuff like that. I believe this is the French filter system. These are, I believe, one of the first ones created with intention of stacking them. I don't have that many here. I only have a few types. Let me pick up the more prominent one. So as you can see, this one is gradient filter, mostly used for landscapes. I'm not even sure these are glass, to be honest. I feel like this is some kind of like a plexiglass or some stuff like that. So this is on the cheaper side. And with this system, like especially with this adapter, you can stack multiple ones. So for example, you can use the regular ND, like pretty thick density, right? Like that. And then on top of that, if you feel like the sky is still bright, then you can just stack another one on top like this. And I believe this holder can hold up to 3. There is another one for wide angle lenses. That one can only use 2. But the downside of this, it cannot be attached to really big lenses because the diameter of these adapter rings that kind of slide into this system, I don't think they go higher than 82, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is super specific. There's a bunch of other newer systems from different companies like Nice and of course Lee filters. They were considered top of the line when I bought these, but I literally just didn't have budget for that. And honestly, I didn't even know if I'm gonna pursue the landscape career. So yeah, something to try is nice like this, but nope. Yeah, apparently you have to say nice instead of Nisi. Well, next thing which I use more and more these days, obviously when shooting video and stuff like that, is like a combo 2-in-1. It's ND/CPL, and this one I bought when I started this YouTube channel pretty much a few years ago. And this is from Haida. This is a CPL VND 2-in-1 filter Pro 2. And I believe this is one of the best options for your buck, even right now. This was around, I think, maybe $50 at that time with discounts or like whatever. It is nothing special, nothing fancy. It comes in this plastic box with some instruction labels, instruction cards, like how to use it and whatever. Obviously made in China, but the quality of this filter and the color was surprisingly good. I expected a lot worse, especially after something like this, like after these Koken filters. Dude, these give you like some weird colors and stuff like that, so I was not expecting much. So if you're looking for a budget solution with good colors and stuff like that, I would definitely consider this one because it got me really surprised. And pretty much if you watch any of my videos, pretty much since the beginning of this channel, I've been using this exact filter. It is really surprising what, such a cheap solution can provide. But again, we're coming back to the main idea of these. Like, you have to screw them on, unscrew it, screw the adapter on another lens. Oh, and one more thing about Haida filters. You can screw extra filter on the front, but it gotta be one step bigger. So for example, if it's 67, the filter you're gonna screw on the outside is gotta be 72. So that's a bit of a pain in the butt because you have to buy extra filters for every ND filter, which is like, dude, I'm not doing that. So I got really curious, like, is the magnetic system the next logical step in this equation, or it still has some kind of downsides and whatnot? That's where this next thing comes in. So this is the next step for me, I guess. This is Freewell, also CPL and VND combo, 3 to 7 stops, same as this Haida filter, also 3 to 7 stops. And this is a V2. This system is kind of interesting. It also comes with this cool case. I don't think it's still real leather, but it's pretty good. The quality of everything, crazy. Like, Haida for $50 or whatever was good, but this is definitely on another, level up. Even the case, everything is like magnetic, everything is convenient. You can even put extra memory cards in here. Has this cool pull-up mechanism to pull up your filters and stuff like that. So we are on Haida filter right now. All of the video before was shot on the Freewell filter. So let's talk about this Freewell. The quality and the machining of this thing is crazy. Crazy tight tolerances, and everything just feels really good. It's definitely a step up in price, but you can actually feel this step up from something like Haida's solution. And also I think they upgraded this version because the reviews I saw online, people had 2 screws on the sides when this thing came out. Now it has only one tightening screw on one side, and it's not going anywhere. It kind of stuck here. So now this is more convenient to attach to the magnetic rings. Obviously the quality, obviously the, you know, the craftsmanship and everything, of course it's great. And of course it comes with a cool magnetic cap, you know, it just slaps on, and another back cap as well here. Just have to make sure you put the right side. There's A and B, and you know, have to get used to it. I'm still getting used to it, obviously. It fits in the case, but when you have 2 caps on it, you can kind of see this section in the middle is being pushed back a bit. I'm not sure it's a good thing, but I mean, it works. And also because it's magnetic, Freewell came up with the solution that you can attach extra filters on the outside. Like for example, this glow mist filter. I think they have a few different options there. Also like 1/4, 1/8, and different type of diffusion. And you can just snap it on the outside of your VND and CPL, which is super convenient. At the same time, if you just want to use the diffusion filter and no CPL, no anything, the ring that you need to use on your lens doesn't allow you to attach it magnetically. It just doesn't stick. The only thing you can do it is rotate it and screw it on. Well, I mean, it's not a perfect solution, obviously, because I'm trying to get away from all of those screw-on filters. But at least this is better than nothing. I would probably use it with the VND CPL anyway, but so far I think this is the best I can get for the budget, I guess. But now there's a question I keep asking myself. How is this solution better than Haida with all of these adapter rings I still need for all of my lenses? And these are more expensive because they're proprietary ones with magnets and stuff. They're more expensive than, for example, just a little, you know, step up ring for like $1 or, you know, couple dollars. How is this better? I'm kind of closed in one system, so I only have to use this V2 with these rings. Each system has its own ring, I suppose. And like, how is this better? Well, the filter is high quality and all of that, so I can probably use this for years. But is it really better? Like if I decide to change the system in the future, these rings are like 18 to 25 bucks a pop. Like a magnetic ring for the filter costs almost half of Haida filter that I paid for it. And what if, for example, I don't have a budget to buy all of these rings for all of my lenses? For example, like I have multiple vintage lenses and they also have like really weird sizes like 39, 46, 55 and stuff like that. I'm not even sure that Freewell has all of the sizes available, because sometimes I have to do this blasphemy like attaching step-up ring to step-up ring because the size is super specific, like 39 to 40.5 and then 40.5 to 49, and 49 I believe is the smallest one that Freewell currently have. So I'm not 100% convinced in this system, even though I really like it. you know, the ability to stack them magnetically and then, you know, cover it with the cap and put it in a pocket or in a bag without thinking like, oh, I'm gonna scratch it and whatnot. This is great. Like, don't get me wrong, this is wonderful. Comes with a, you know, fancy case with the carabiner, extra space for extra filters if you're gonna use something extra, I guess. You're not gonna change this system in 1 or 2 years. It's just not necessary. For my personal needs, like for photography and a little bit of video that I make on this channel and maybe some casually somewhere else, I think this is probably as high as I would go. On the side note, if you're somebody who's shooting video, it is probably not a big deal for you to keep these rings always on your lenses. And then it becomes really convenient. You can just, you know, snap the cap there. You don't even have to have like a UV filter, which I mean, I use all the time, but you don't even have to have it there. This could be your protection. You know, you can just keep it always there on all of your lenses and just snap on, snap off. This way, it is really convenient if you don't care about that size and bulk. But you can kind of see how ridiculous it looks on the smaller lenses and smaller cameras. The rings are not ideal, and this system in general is not ideal if you want to have it on the smaller lenses and smaller system. So what am I gonna use? I'm probably gonna use this freewheel system from now on, and I probably need to invest into these adapter rings and stuff like that. But in some cases, I literally have no choice. Like for example, with the 39mm size, there's no way they don't make this ring. So I kind of need to still use this contraption. 46 is also kind of too small for this system. So, well, I guess I just cannot run away from screwing on this stuff. I hope this was somewhat useful, and I'm kind of really curious, what kind of filter system and filters do you guys use? And do you even use filters at all? Let me know in the comments, and I see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bonus round, I use this cheap hood for my 39mm diameter lens. And when I want to attach the filter, and it's just, you know, pain in the butt to always screw off the hood and then attach the filter and stuff like that, I just use this hood. And on the outside, this by the way costs like a few bucks. On the outside, it has thread as well, and this is 52mm, so 39, 52, pretty big step up, but I already have like 52mm step up ring, and you can just screw it on directly on here. It's not ideal because if the sun is from the back, it can still hit through the lens. Cool solution there. As well as this cool solution. If you have a bunch of filters of the same diameter, like for example, all of your lenses are the same diameter, and you just use screw-on filters, like you don't use any magnetic stuff and whatnot. 2 metal caps with threads, you know, you can protect your filters this way. It's not gonna get scratched and whatever, and it also is gonna be a pretty low profile. You can drop it in the pocket, in the bag, whatever. Super convenient and super cheap, couple bucks. Also stuff like this, filter cases like this with Velcro and a couple of pockets there. This one came with Sandmark filters, but it's big enough to put, you know, some other filters there. And I'm sure probably some other companies make something like this or similar. Also pretty convenient if, you know, this is your jam. You can put this in the pocket, fold it, you know, make it small. I think that's it. I have so much of this